Hello, and welcome back to 9 to 5 Nerds with Robert Swathwood and Katrina Swathwood.
Hello.
I almost forgot my name. It's been so long that we've...
Okay.
I mean, well, no, not that aspect, but you don't go around saying your own name.
I do all the time.
Oh, yeah, I guess you have to call people. Yeah, I guess when people call me, I say this is Robert, but I don't say my last name.
I don't either. I say my first name.
Yeah, anyways, so... cough, cough. We were on a pretty good roll there for a very short period of time, and we've done these we're back episodes a ton of times. Well, this time around, if you follow me on any social media platforms, this time around wasn't a planned break. I guess
not at all.
Well, I guess none of them are planned breaks, but with the previous things, when we got super busy, we should have announced on here that we needed to take a break because sometimes it's just hard to manage life and this as much as we enjoy doing this. However, with this last situation, I had COVID, so it was kind of an unplanned recess. Recess isn't the right word. It was an unscheduled sickness.
Because when do you schedule your sicknesses?
Yeah. I guess that's not a schedule. What's the proper terminology for this? I caught the
sequestered.
I caught the vid. I woke up on a Saturday and I had a sinus infection, which I get a few times a year.
Oh, your hypochondriacism was in full effect on Friday.
You know what? And you and I can talk about that outside of here. That was not due to my personal well-being. You ever have a situation, and feel free to chime in on social media out there. Do you ever have a situation where one thing comes at you and you're like, all right, I can deal with this. And then another does, and you're like, all right, two things is fine. And then a third one is like, all right. And then a fourth one. And a fifth one, and a sixth one. And then you're just kind of run down. On Friday, I felt just like that. Like, at work, I had a lot of stuff going on, and I felt a little run down, and I was a little anxious that week about some stuff. And so it wasn't that I was feeling sick. I was feeling out of sorts.
Okay.
And when I feel out of sorts and I have too many things going on, and I start to spiral out of control, I get panicky. Obviously, you know this.
I do. So did you feel more at ease once you took those tests on Friday and they were negative?
Well, I took a test on Friday. It was negative, and I was like, all right. And then the next, because I could feel myself possibly getting sick. And it felt like a sinus infection, like every other sinus infection I've had. And I've had so many.
Head congestion, cement.
Yeah. So I went to urgent care, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's just, they didn't even test me for COVID. They just said, oh, yeah, you got a sinus infection. And Sunday, I felt better. And then Monday, when I was making coffee for work, I couldn't smell it. And, I got sick for about 4 days. It felt like a really bad head cold. I couldn't smell anything. My taste wasn't gone, but it was dulled.
Diminished.
Yeah, and I was really tired. I made myself get up and walk. I isolated in one of our bedrooms for the 10 days.
Which we're really lucky that we had that option.
Yeah. I mean, I hear
Some people don't.
I hear celebrities like fucking Joe Rogan. He's like, oh, yeah, I just isolated in a different part of my fucking mega mansion. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dude. He also said he's like, oh, yeah, COVID's no big deal. COVID's no big deal. COVID's no big deal. And then took all these medicines that aren't available to regular people.
Right, because he has money.
And horse medicine he took. Fucking idiot. Anyways. So, I was real tired. I tried to push through it and walk. There were a couple times, I got lightheaded. But it was 4 days. It felt like, a real bad cold. And I came out on the other side of it. And I'm fine. My sense of smell is back and all that. And
the severe boredom.
Yeah, well, once you start to feel better, you feel a little off, but I felt fine enough where I would have worked. I didn't because I was isolating. But you have that boredom. Like, I was bored because you don't really want to. I don't know. I almost beat Cuphead. I started playing Hades. I watched a lot of Impractical Jokers because it's very comforting. It's like a comfort show. But I didn't want to watch, all the shows I've watched 1,000 times. So I watched through Ted Lasso again. I watched Impractical Jokers. I went to comfort stuff. I watched I Love You Man a few times. But no, I'm fine. Sense of smell's back, which was what I was nervous about. But and I was vaccinated, so I guess I'm considered a breakthrough case. But in the meantime, we watched. Since then, we've watched a ton of stuff. Way more stuff that we can just break down on here. We started. We watched Suicide Squad, which we'll probably talk about quite a bit. We watched The White Lotus, which we finished. That's on HBO Max. Both of those are HBO Max, so maybe we'll just stick with an HBO Max theme.
That's been kind of our go-to recently.
The quality on it's pretty high for the most part.
There's a big variety.
Yeah, there's a big variety. The app kind of sucks on Roku.
Oh my God, it's awful. Well, that might honestly just be our VPN.
Yeah, I mean that could be. I know it has problems with other stuff, but
they're really strict on their coding.
We started our. I mean, it's September 5th today, I believe. Yeah,
yes.
September 5th today, and we started. Usually we wait till October to start watching scary movies. We turned over yesterday and we watched Freaky with Vince Vaughn. But I think maybe we'll get a couple more horror movies under our belt before we jump on that.
Halloweeny movies.
Yeah, Halloweeny movies. Halloweeny. But no, I mean, let's go ahead and first off compare Suicide Squad to The Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Which the only carryover
was Harley Quinn.
And
Boomerang.
Boomerang and Waller.
Yes.
She was a carryover. So this isn't a sequel. I mean,
well, wouldn't you look at it as like a different line of the same characters?
Lineup. Yeah, they just went back to the well to get their squad to go through. I really like Idris Elba a lot.
He's great.
And John Cena. I mean, you're not supposed to like him in this. They're all villains. You're not supposed to like him in this, but I mean, they were both really good together. I love the fact that their powers are the same. I'm not too familiar with DC other than a handful of Batman story arcs that I really like. But it was funny how to start this off, you get this whole spoilers, this whole squad of villains who basically all die.
Right.
Like you watch them.
Well, that's their job.
Yeah. And they all go in and just die. I mean, you had Rooker in there, you had Nathan Fillion in there. You had a good group of people who you were like, oh, we watched The Hunt as well, which made me think about actors and stuff just dying. But I really, I mean, I know the running gag on this podcast is I gave the original a B, and I'd probably give this one a B. But this was genuinely a fun movie. I really like James Gunn. I like some of his earlier stuff like Slither. I really enjoyed that movie. He has a weird take on things. And I enjoy
the lightheartedness.
But the environment he creates, it's just off. And I liked all the characters in this movie. Did you know that Margot Robbie actually did the key thing herself? Like she picked up that key with her foot.
And she unlocked herself?
From
That's
that lock.
dedication.
Well, she's really, say what you want about any of these movies. I actually...
she's a hardworking actress.
Not only is she a hardworking actress, but she's really good as Harley Quinn.
She is.
She was one of the better parts of The Suicide Squad, the Harley Quinn super long title movie.
Birds of Prey.
I mean, I can't remember what the official title was. It was some crazy,
Emancipation of blah, 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 blah.
She was incredible in it.
Yeah. And her sidekick were the best parts.
And that movie had some really bright spots, too. That was a fun movie.
With her doing like the mountain of cocaine and the smoke and just going crazy.
Well, I like the separation from Joker. I like her trying to do things on her own, and I've never been a huge Harley Quinn fan, but she's made me really like the character. I haven't got into her in the comics. I'm not saying that I know there's a lot of good people that write those books, like Palmiotto. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's on there, and I'm just not I'm not. They're probably really good comics, and she's a great character. But for that, I lean more towards the movies, and she's been consistent in all the movies. And with Margot Robbie being as good as she is, and Kaylee Cuoco being as great as she is on the cartoon,
yeah,
it's a really fun character, and it's a good time to be a Harley Quinn fan. Wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
Yeah. She's doing a really good job for that character, and my bottom line is anytime there's people doing comic book movies well, that opens the opportunity to turn people onto comics. I know that's not always, I know the movie industry could do a better job at promoting comics and where these storylines come from and where these characters come from. But I feel like they don't. And they'll talk about it I got a lot of comics, or
Can you
look up the man who plays in the new Marvel movie? I don't want to mispronounce his name, but a lot of them will read comics and say, but they don't promote the writers and the artists.
What new movie?
The Ten Rings.
Okay.
And they don't promote that, and I wish they would. But I mean, it gives that opportunity to, I always try to turn people on to comics and give comics away and things like that. But I feel like it opens that door. But I enjoy, I never thought I would like Polka Dot Man as well as I did.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I like that actor too.
I do too. He's odd, he's not in a lot of stuff, but he was really good. I know King Shark
was weird.
He was weird. It was Simu Liu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But he was talking about how he read a lot of comics as a kid and stuff, and I'm hoping that had a really big opening. I'm hoping that opens some doors for some comics and people to read as well. But Ron Funches is my King Shark.
Oh, because he's great.
He is incredible at that. And if anything,
because he's a way of turning on a dime when it goes from like, oh, ha, 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 crazy, or, oh, I'm going to eat this person now, and, oh, did I hurt their feelings? Are they okay?
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really sharp, the way he transitions from...
violent to goofy?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And he's my King Shark. But, every character in this had their moment, and I can't really tell you a part I dislike. I enjoyed the story.
Did you like all the rats?
I liked all the rats. I liked Idris Elba's, was it Bloodsport? I think that was his name.
That sounds right.
It was a solid movie. Like, I mean, and it was a fun watch. There's not a lot of DC movies out there since Christopher Nolan stuff that are really great.
There wasn't a lot of depth. Like, it was very straightforward, very bland, very predictable.
What, Suicide Squad?
Not this last one, just
the original.
Just in general, when it comes to DC, stuff. They don't really do a whole lot of forethought.
Yeah. I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman, and Shazam was decent.
Well, because it had some comedic relief in it. If you're too serious, or you're just trying to stay strictly to the story line and don't budge off of it a little bit, it just kind of gets like, okay, well, I guess I'm just watching this until it's over. If you have some kind of offshoot route where you're going somewhere else with something, it's more complex and it creates more layers towards these characters, and you get more, involvement into, I'm buying into this character. I want to see where it goes.
I think that part of your statement makes sense. The depth of a character. You need to add depth because you don't always have to have comic relief, because those Christopher Nolan ones didn't. And they were,
they had tension relief. Like, there was a lot of tense moments, and then there was like kind of like a departure from that, and they had like a transition. So I wouldn't say that there...
It wasn't comedic relief. It was
I don't
just
know. Morgan
relief.
Freeman was kind of comedic in that movie.
He had a few, very few, but I would say...
his lightheartedness came to diffuse tension.
That's what I was going to say, is I feel like there's not comedic relief, and I've never used this term before, and you just use this really well, but tension relief. Tense. Oh, it's building. Relax.
Let's calm down.
Yeah.
Let's move this way.
You build up and then you slow down until you get to the peak.
Because you can't keep somebody on that edge forever.
Yeah, they tried to do that. Everybody told me that's how Uncut Gems was. And, as a person that has anxiety, and everybody's like, oh, it creates so much anxiety. It made me so anxious. No, it didn't for me at all. It was just a movie.
No, just watching the introduction into the White Lotus made me more anxious than anything I've ever watched in a while. Just because of the music choice.
The music. Oh, we'll get to that, please.
Sorry.
No, I'm not trying to. It's an important piece of that puzzle for that show, and I want to get into that kind of. But
going back
to Suicide Squad, there wasn't really, like I said, minus a few Marvel DC movies here and there, they've been mostly miss. It's not hit or miss. It's just mostly miss. I haven't watched a 4-hour Justice League because the original wasn't good. Why? I mean, it's great. It's great.
And it might very well be. Like, I have very limited time.
And do you really want to invest 4 hours in a movie you didn't like to begin with?
No.
Like, I don't see where that's...
Unless I'm off on vacation for like 3 weeks and I have nothing else to do, and we're just kind of sitting around and like, oh, what can we throw on while the kids are still awake, and, and not be, so inappropriate.
Yeah.
But other than that, and I don't even think the kids would be interested in watching a 4-hour movie. That's just way too long.
No, not at all. But I enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. It was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. It was.
No. It knew what it was.
It was an R-rated DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And you can tell that DC let
Gunn do what he wanted
and take it further. And I'm hoping that after Gunn has said some whatever people may say it's controversial stuff lately about how superhero movies and comic book movies aren't good anymore, minus a few. He's not necessarily wrong. I mean, there is a formula that Marvel uses and it works and we all enjoy it for the most part. But you need to have stuff like Suicide Squad to push the envelope. You can't do this with Batman. You can't do this with Spider-Man. But you can do it with this group of misfits the right way. And James Gunn did it the right way. And I believe he has further DC plans down the road after he's done with Guardians.
Okay.
And I look,
because what are they doing? Their Christmas special and another movie?
And that's it. He's done. And do we really know what the Christmas special is? Is it like a 1 hour thing?
Is it a parody of the Star Wars Christmas special? Like, that would be interesting.
That would be. I like the Star Wars Lego Disney special thing.
Oh, I do too. It's really good.
Yeah.
The kids watch it a lot.
And they played off some of the Star Wars holiday special things.
Yes, they did.
Which was good. But I enjoy this movie. I hope they let him do some stuff further. Is there anything you want to point out that you enjoyed? It
was fun. And I liked the character development that they did, especially with Polka Dot Man and with the rat lady.
And Idris Elba's character. I mean, he has a fairly decent story arc from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I like his weapons that he pulled off of his armor situation. And John Cena's getting his own show, his own Peacemaker show. So
good for him.
Yeah, and for people saying that, a lot of people are saying it's glorifying this or glorifying that, is whatever. He's supposed to be an asshole. You're not supposed to like him. He's fun to watch, but you're not supposed to like these I like his character.
Murderers? Yeah, you usually don't like murderers.
John Cena's a douche he's in the movie, and you're not supposed to like him. It's just how it is. And John Cena's making a name for himself. I enjoy watching him in some of the things he's been in. Well, in this and in Cock Blockers or some movie like that. He has some comedic timing. I like some.
It's very rough, but it's good. It fits for what he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to go win you an Oscar, but
no.
if he plays in this vein, I mean, he could do well. I enjoyed him.
Him and Nicole Byer on Wipeout is hilarious.
I haven't watched it.
Well, the kids were watching it, and the way they talk to each other, it's extremely inappropriate and not for children. Okay. So, like, there was some times where I was like, oh, it's like, I think we need to turn this off, but it's one of those, it's like over their head, and they really don't get it. But it was pretty interesting to see them bounce off each other.
Did you want to save the hunt for another episode, or do you want to throw it in this one?
I don't think we have much to talk about it in the sense that we need a whole episode for it.
Okay. Well, let's go on to White Lotus because that is, what was that, 6 episodes?
It was only 6 episodes. It's basically people who arrive on a boat together.
Yeah,
to a resort.
Somebody's going to die because at the very beginning, one of the guests is leaving and somebody else says, oh, I heard somebody died at the resort. You're saying that's long story short. And then it goes back to the beginning of this trip with several different groups of people going to this island where somebody's going to die. So the whole time you're watching, you're like, well,
who's going to die?
And they put people in situations where you think,
oh, could be them.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not unusual. I mean, it's not a formula that hasn't been used before.
The whodunit.
And there's some good performances. I don't know I don't know if he's from New Zealand or Australia. You want to look that up?
Armand.
His name was Armand, right?
Yeah.
He's the GM of the hotel, and then you have several guests. Steve Zahn.
I thought it was Zane.
Steve Zahn. He's in it, and he was okay, but the entire show, it didn't even need to happen. Don't you think? I mean, I
agree. There was like really no payoff in the end, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, and you watch this, and after you're done watching it, you're like, this didn't need to be a thing. There was some good performances. A lot.
He is Australian.
He's Australian. There was no loose ends. They tied everything off, but it didn't need to exist. I know that sounds weird.
Like nothing resolved.
No.
I think the only thing that resolved was the married couple. They kind of put some things that they still had like fresh wounds for, even though it had been a long time. They finally put it to sleep.
I think she's going back to a place she knows she hates.
Oh, I'm not talking about the young couple.
Oh,
I'm
the
talking
older
about the
couple.
older couple.
Okay. That's Steve Zahn and
with him and his adultery and, you know, her fancy bracelets.
I guess, you know, yeah, one set of people had a happy ending. One person died. One lady went back to a marriage that she's on her honeymoon and she hates her husband and she's going to stay married. And
well, she realized that she was a trophy wife. Like, she didn't know that.
She didn't want to be.
And she didn't want to be.
She still doesn't want to be.
No.
So you got to see one person be happy, one person be upset, and in a show that doesn't need to exist. It's not bad. It's nothing. I mean.
There was some good performances.
There was back to what you were saying though. The music made me anxious. It was the medley that it was kind of off key.
I had to start skipping it.
Yeah, I really didn't like it. We were forced to skip it because the app was all messed up too. But,
well, yeah, that too.
But the music set me off. Like, ugh. It was like almost like nails on a chalkboard don't bother me, but you get the expression. It was like that for me. Mine is cotton balls. I can't touch cotton balls. They fucking just, even just thinking about cotton balls, just the way that they squeeze and they do that.
That squeak? Okay. Okay.
I hate it. But yeah, the show didn't need to be anything. It was.
I don't feel like I got anything out of it.
No. And you want to feel like you enjoyed something.
And you used your time well, and I did not feel that way.
No, and I'm glad it was only 6 episodes because then I at least finished it and it could be over with. And it wasn't one of those ones that I'm like, because I'll give a show a couple episodes to get going. And I watched it and it wasn't like, oh, I'm just watching this to go through the motions. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was just nothing. I don't feel like I needed to watch it. I don't feel like anything was accomplished by watching it.
I only felt bad for Belinda, and that was it.
Yeah. Was that the lady at the spa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's getting just like downloaded on by people every week. And she tries to just keep her mouth shut and just tries to like, you know, keep her head down and work. And then the one time that she doesn't, it all just blows up in her face.
Yeah. Well, she let her guard down for a minute and got burned.
Well, she thought that she was going to find a way out, and there is no way out.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend the White Lotus. Don't waste your time on it. It's not that good. There's no saving grace. There's nothing in it that'll make you happy that you watched it. I don't think it was good at all. Not like it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was nothing. And do you really want to just watch nothing?
No.
Read a book.
Like Armand was
watch something
good.
Else.
I seen his tailspin into like crazy.
Yeah,
was good.
I'd like to see him in other stuff. Like I enjoyed his performance.
Is.
That's the only thing I said. I enjoyed his performance. But other than that, no. Don't waste your time. It wasn't worth it. I'd like to see what other people thought about it. If you watched it, hit me up on Twitter.
Maybe we didn't get it.
Did you get it?
Did you get it?
Like Andy in The Office.
Oh, when they're watching the movie together.
If you got something out of this, The White Lotus, hit me up at 9to5nerds on Twitter because I'm genuinely curious to see what you thought about it. And lastly, we did watch this movie, The Hunt, and if you're not familiar with The Hunt, it was previously held back from being released because a bunch of conservatives complained about it. Now, I don't know if that's legitimately the reason, but there were a lot of conservatives complaining about it. And this isn't going towards conservatives or liberals or whatever your political affiliations are. But if you didn't see what this movie was trying to accomplish, you're fucking stupid. This was a political satire.
Yes.
I mean, this is trying to make fun of everybody because the liberal people in it are so over the top, ridiculous, and pretentious.
Yes.
And just so they're taking these stereotypes of liberal people and just blowing them up and just making them huge. And they're taking the same stereotypes about conservatives, or in this, air quotes, deplorables that people have used, and playing into those stereotypes, and they're like they're leaning into it. Like if you see, like on Curb Your Enthusiasm, those people are playing extreme versions of themselves.
Right.
These are playing extreme versions of conservatives or liberals, and they have it listed under horror on HBO Max.
Okay.
But to me, it's borderline action comedy.
Like a dark comedy?
Yeah, it was a dark comedy. I thought some of the shit was genuinely funny. The murders were brutal, absolutely
Yes.
brutal. But I found it mostly comedic, a dark comedy, and this satire that's playing to extreme versions of these people. I like the fact that you didn't know who the main character was for a long time.
Okay.
Because they would focus on one person.
And then
they
they
would
would
follow
die.
that person, and that person would be fucking brutally destroyed. Like, in the worst. And some of it's like, there's a lady that falls into this spike pit, and they get her out, and then she gets, half of her gets blown off, and she ends up back in the spike pit. Like, it's so, that was so good. And then there's not a lot of famous actors in it. I mean, there was a handful of people that you know from something. One of the women from Glow was in it. That comedian who was in, it's funny is we just talked about Cock Blockers and the Suicide Squad, and he was in both of those. The comedy guy is he has that. He usually plays kind of a dick. You know who I'm talking about?
I'm looking it up.
He was in it. So there's a few people you recognize, but
Hilary Swank.
Oh yeah, Hilary Swank was in it, huh?
Is it Ike Barinholtz?
Okay.
Is that who you're talking about? He's from The League.
Yes, that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's a comedian. He's pretty funny. But they follow these people, and then these people get just absolutely brutally destroyed. And they were all, I mean, a lot of them were, seemed like there was like a trucker guy in there, and then there was and they played on the extremes of these people, and it was really funny. I enjoyed this movie. It wasn't a thing the people that take it too seriously are offended by it, but it is what it is. I thought it was good. I think it's a Blumhouse movie too.
I think you're right.
And I know they are kind of hit and miss, but when they hit well. Like I'm thinking of some of these deaths, and I don't want to other than
spoil it.
I don't want to spoil it, because if you watch it, it's a fun movie. I mean, if you're kind of turned off by gore, I wouldn't necessarily watch it. But I enjoyed it. It's almost like kind of an adult Hunger Games type situation.
With funny.
Yes. What'd you think about it?
I thought it was brutal and hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what they were going for.
Right.
While making it, but people just took it as they're being serious. Where if you legitimately sit down and watch it for 5 minutes, you're like, they're just making fun of everybody.
Right.
Which made it fun.
How ridiculously crazy everybody is.
Yeah. Yeah. And and we're in that situation where people are drawing these lines in the sand, and
there's no logic used.
There's no logic. We just yell on Facebook, and that's it. And this is
screaming into the void.
This was making fun of everybody. It wasn't, it's making fun of deplorables, conservatives, or oh my God, the liberals are killing, conservatives. It was making fun of everybody, and it was great. It was absolutely great.
And Betty Gilpin did a really good job.
That's her name. Yeah, she was good in it. She's good in. Oh, other than her in American Gods, that was her, huh? Crying the whole time.
Oh God, yes.
Other than that small role, she was really good in Glow. She's good in this. Anything you want of note of The Hunt that you wanted to?
I really thought it was weird Hilary Swank was in it.
Right? Doesn't seem like
it just doesn't strike me as the type of movie that she would do. But hey,
she's an Oscar winner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems a little strange. But out of the three things, I would recommend watching Suicide Squad and The Hunt. I do not recommend wasting your time on The White Lotus, which was unfortunate because you and I don't have a lot of time.
No, it was well written. I can say that about it.
Was it?
Like this, the dialogue, it wasn't choppy.
So the dialogue was well written, but the story wasn't?
That's possible.
I did like the son. I mean, he was finding his way in life, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah. That's video games and phone getting washed out in the ocean.
And then he realizes that he likes nature. But yeah, don't watch White Lotus. And
Unless you have time, all the time in the world, and have nothing else to do.
I hope somebody gets back to me and said that liked it to tell me why.
Why?
Yeah, because I don't know why it was.
It was very
made.
pretty.
I mean, it's Hawaii. I mean, I've never been there, but it's a pretty place. But no, we're gonna watch some more movies, and we're gonna be back next week. We're not planning on getting COVID. I statistically,
I don't have
the
time
chances
for that.
of me getting it are pretty low at this point. But no, we plan on being regular. We have some conventions hopefully coming up that we can go to, because Designer Con is in November, and it would be nice to go to that.
That would be fun. That's a good one.
That's if you haven't been to Designer Con, go. If you're
you see some really neat things.
If you're comfortable. I mean, I haven't been to a convention yet, and we're vaccinated, and we wear our masks, and we're trying to do things again, but be safe. And I hope you all are doing that as well, trying to be safe, not being a
recluse.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll be back next week. We are planning to be here regularly, as long as there isn't some
catastrophe,
like a super volcano or
God.
What? Did I get real deep right there
Yeah.
and get really negative? We'll be back next week, and I appreciate you still listening. I'm sorry that we were gone for, almost 4 weeks because I got sick, but I'm better, and
it is how it is.
It is what it is, and we'll be back to recording regularly, and I hope you all stick around, and we'll be back in a week.